Hey, good morning. It's 7:50 a.m. It is Sunday morning. It is February 23rd, and I'm just kind of like sitting back in my room, sipping some coffee, and I will tell you right now, this video is not a rant video. It's just me talking about CB Braganza. Okay? I just love CB Braganza. And of course, when I think about CB Braganza, we all know that the original or the origins of CB Braganza is, King Solomon, which is cool. But this is the only picture that I have of, well, I have another picture of CB Braganza, but it's just that, I totally connect. I'm very happy to be who I am. And I was thinking about this morning, I woke up, right? And I've had my suspicions before, but I understand that like CB Braganza was the inspiration for a lot of things that people still do today. Like, I had mentioned that CB Braganza was very played an active role in the New Thought movement. And of course he would. I mean, like, when you think about the spiritual knowledge that I possess and as CB Braganza, this mystical man, it totally makes sense, right? And it makes sense that there was a lot of copycats, people that didn't want to give him proper credit, and him not being able to flourish or really be known with his name stamped on it. And that's unfortunate, okay? I do believe that he has been done dirty in several lives, okay? As well as Maria Borden, okay? That's just the way it is. I mean, it happens, okay? When somebody has a lot of talent and a lot of skills, or is very unique and has, people want to bully that person, okay? And it's a lot based on envy and whatever. Anyway. And that's unfortunate too. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that everybody thinks that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, but obviously, there's suffering here on the earth regardless of who you are, and that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so growing up as Maria Borden, I had talked about how I always had an interest in the music of the 1960s. A lot of it had to do with the some of the bands that were associated with that counterculture period at that time. Now, I woke up and with a voice that came to my head and said, "CB Braganza is the main inspiration for the counterculture period in the 1960s." And some people will say, "Well, that's not true because CB Braganza died in 1956." It is not so much CB Braganza. Um, it's impossible for him to come back up and actually create or inspire people to be hippies at that time, okay? But it was actually pulling back on what had occurred a few years ago. You'll notice how like things come back into fashion or things become back into popularity. I would say anywhere between in increments of 20 to 40 years. CB Braganza was a very open-minded person. Okay, he obviously did not have what you call conservative ties, meaning, and that's mostly due to circumstance. Okay, there are people who are on the outs of society or who operate outside of what you call the group, the crowd, and some people look at this as being rebellious. It is not. Some people are systematically put on the outside. So when you're dealing with issues of adaptation or trying to assimilate, it's like, okay, you know what? It's just easier to be off on your own. And there comes the creativity. Here comes I don't have to worry about what so and so is doing or kind of decorations that they're having in their house. I'm going to please myself. I'm building my own world based on the things that I enjoy. Okay, and that's pretty much what it is. It's not. People tend to perceive the counterculture period as a form of rebellion, or people who Bohemian type people as a form of rebellion. I will say, there was a lot of issues when it came to things like drugs and stuff like that, but that's on them, okay? I mean, and I understand that CB Braganza, I do believe that CB Braganza was a marijuana smoker. I really do believe that, okay? Now, the reason why is because, I'm a marijuana smoker as Maria Borden, and I would say that I've smoked marijuana for very many years, okay? Which I do believe this was something that my current boss had some sort of issue with or whatever. Marijuana is legal, okay? And I would say that I'm a very responsible person. But marijuana has never slowed me down intellectually on any level. It has never like made it so where I'm unable to function, or makes it so that I can't do anything. You know what I mean? I don't have like a slothful attitude, or it doesn't make me you know what I'm saying? Like when people talk about marijuana, some people conjure up the image of a stoner. They conjure up images of people like characters that are like I guess like the image of a stoner. I think I've used the example of Spicoli of Fast Times at Ridgemont High as an example of somebody who doesn't seem like he has any ambition or anything like that. So no, I think people have a lot of misconceptions about marijuana. Okay, everything I've done in my life has been related to some sort of mystical issue or whatever. And I already did a video talking about the use of marijuana. Aside from that, I'm saying what I'm doing is I'm relating the similarities between me and CB Braganza, and I see them. Okay, and so I was quite, it didn't surprise me that CB Braganza was the inspiration behind the counterculture movement. It doesn't, and I know when I was, I always listen to that kind of music. We listen to all kinds of music in my family. Okay. So, we never like listened exclusively to Motown music, even though we were black. Okay. We never listened. My dad was a huge country fan, and I remember growing up just absolutely loving the Beatles and stuff like that. So it was never like, oh, well, we don't listen to them because they're white. Okay. To me, when it comes to lyrics or, melody, a lot of it, the instruments that are being used in the background sometimes can really play on my emotions. I mean, music to me it speaks a language that it's just, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the free-spirited nature of the counterculture period is what CB Braganza seems like, he contributed to that part. Okay. Now, like I said, there are some people who may have identified with like the Bohemian type lifestyle, and I think people associate the Bohemian lifestyle with people who like, it might be a woman who lives on her own, it might be include somebody who is just independent, and somebody who's just kind of rolling with the punches, and seeing as how they don't have like a certain tradition, or they themselves, I don't have a certain tradition. I mean, why would somebody like CB Braganza have a reoccurring tradition, like where, like, for example, the royal family, they have their little traditions, they have their rituals and stuff like that. CB Braganza literally has no human ties, other than, like, for example, the offspring that I have, like, that's my son, right? CB Braganza doesn't really have that. Now, I'm sure I have some descendants that might be here on the earth. I have not looked them up, okay? I don't believe that looking back and learning more about CB Braganza and the genealogical background, I do not believe that I have any sort of connection with that person that I originally thought, the Sean Alamehu person, mainly because of the cloning issue. Now, I do believe that he might be related to the father, what is it? The father of Prince Alamehu, possibly. But I don't think that there's I'm not overly thinking the connection, but I'm starting to have doubts that whether or not that's a connection with there. He might be related to the emperor. Anyway. But I don't believe that CB Braganza was the blood relation of the emperor. I believe that he was a clone and that they were raising him. That's what I believe. Okay, for now, anyway. And there's more readings that I need to do, but I'm learning more as I'm going along. Okay, I did have some intuitive messages that I wanted to go over. And yeah, but I did want to say that when I was in high school, and like I said, I grew up. I'm kind of backtracking. I grew up listening to like all that kind of music when I was younger, and I already had an independent idea. I already had formulated my own thoughts. I never identified as a modern day hippie, but I know people would always tell me that I was. Like, I remember this lady at work. Her name was Ruth Robinson, right? She would tell me, you know what you remind me of? You remind me of a hippie. I would hear this from so many people, okay? But I just remember her saying it first, okay? And the thing is, it's like, okay, there was nothing really about me that looked like a hippie. Like most black hippies wore their hair like in afros or anything and stuff like that. I've never really done that, okay? But what made it seem like I was a hippie is because, number one, I liked the music, right? I also enjoyed having just whatever I liked and enjoyed in my house, you know what I mean? And I didn't have, like, you know, a husband. I did have a child, okay? I did have a child, but I didn't have a husband and all these other things, okay? And so, you know, people, you know what I'm saying? Some people just give off that vibe. Like, you just remind me of a hippie, somebody who, you know, doesn't, you know, not like a conservative person, okay? And I'm just saying is it's not always about rebellion. Sometimes it's just about the circumstance that you're in. Okay, so anyway, going back to these intuitive messages. Okay. I want to talk a little bit. This message, okay, and I know I was talking to some of those celebrities before, and then I kind of dipped out. And I do believe it was because the person, what am I going to, I need to have a nickname for Rex Laverne, okay, because I really don't like mentioning his name, mainly because it makes me sick. And then also the fact that it's just, you know, whatever, we'll call him Knucklehead for now. Anyway, I wanted to say that, you know, I'm sure that the rumor campaign was spread among the celebrities, and which is one of the reasons why there was such weird interactions between me and the celebrities. Okay, and I'm sure that a lot of it was somewhat negative because of this man's view. And actually, I don't believe that this particular my boss believes that I am any of those things. You know, I believe that he's extremely jealous of me. Okay, and and he, of course, I did talk about, you know, the issue of him wanting to take control of my projects. Okay, so going back to the celebrities, so I decided to, you know, kind of distance myself from celebrities because I felt at the time that it was very traumatizing for me because I you know, it's a whole Justin Hayward thing, the thing that went on with my Patreon. You know, the weird stuff, okay, it made me feel extremely uncomfortable. So I decided to, you know, if I connect with celebrities, which I do have some celebrity connections on Facebook, but I tried to make Instagram like more of, like, you know, the little weird little hobbies, intricate hobbies that I have, okay, and, you know, whatever. So I've been, like, you know, subscribing to people, or like, what do you call it, connecting to people on that. But so, you know, I did think this morning that I wanted to give a message to Donald Trump, okay. And it has something to do with the issue of Freemasonry. Now, I have studied a little bit about Freemasonry. My father was a Prince Hall Mason for a short period of time, okay? He did leave some of his books in our house, and I used to study them a little bit. And, you know, I've never been in a Freemason lodge or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with people identifying as what a Freemason, okay? I understand that you guys have your little meetings and stuff like that. And I understand that there's supposed to be, you know, support within your little community. As a Freemason, you guys are supposed to support one another. And see, the point is that, you know, and of course I'm going to respect a lot of things in Freemasonry because, you know, I'm King Solomon, right? And I do understand that the temples were very much inspired by King Solomon. And see, the whole thing is, you know, Freemasons were originally, you know, supposed to be identified as people who are upright with great morals and whatever, high-level standards. Be very careful about, and I wanted to mention it, it's important. A few years ago, I was reading about Freemasonry because, you know, being a Freemason used to be a big deal. Okay, I would say the 1950s, 1960s, possibly the 1970s. And now the last time I read this was, I think, about 2014. It was talking about how there's very little members of Freemasons or new entries into Freemasonry. And the reason why is because there's been, you know, I personally think the reason why is because Freemasons get a lot of negative crap. There's a lot of negativity associated with Freemasonry, okay? And why is that? Is because there's a lot of negative or infiltration or people coming in with inspiring or influencing their brethren. Brethren. I'm just throwing that out. Isn't that cool? Okay, but they're brethren, right? They're inspiring their brethren to pick up issues or support topics or things that could highly affect the rest of the population or whatever based on their own personal desires. Now, I don't remember the project, I think it was something, but it was really negative towards women, okay? And I wouldn't even be surprised that he actually was the one who tried to influence, you know, certain people within this government structure, okay? And I don't know for sure, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. When you're dealing with people who are narcissistic and psychotic, they want full control. And there's not a whole lot they wouldn't do to get that kind of control, okay? So basically what I'm saying is when it comes to Freemasonry, people would have more respect for Freemasonry if you weeded out the riffraff. You see what I'm saying? Everybody has a reputation, and they should maintain their reputation, and there are certain people who can bring reproach on it. So I hope that, you know, Freemasonry, I don't think it's, I personally, anytime you deal with things that is related to the craft, they refer to it as a craft. I have a lot of respect for that. Okay, I think people who want to, you know, pursue what do you call it? Esoteric knowledge or whatever, that's highly commendable to me, right? Anyway, I did want to say a shout out to Donald Trump and just let you know that this is possibly the reason why, you know, you're not getting a lot of there's not a lot of recruits when it comes to Freemasonry. Is because a lot of people associate Freemasonry. And for many years, I will say, like in the early 2000s, anytime people brought up the Freemasons to me, I just connected it with evil. And it's not that, yeah, because obviously my father was a Freemason, but it's just that there's a lot of things that get said about Freemason, and maybe you can do some Google searches on your own about it. But the thing is, if you care about this sort of affiliation that you have, right, and it's a part of your reputation as well as the people that you're associated with, it has to be, you know, it has to be monitored. It has to be not monitored. You just have to use discretion when it comes to membership. And I know that you don't, you know, run the whole shebang when it comes to Freemasonry. I'm just dropping this in your ear because and letting you know that people do things to influence government. And sometimes it's not for the best interest. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And as somebody who has a title and the status that you have, and I do understand that it's most, you know, it's good PR, and it makes sense to intermingle with I'm going to say the lower level people in the country. Like when I'm talking about lower level, I'm even included in that on a certain degree, right? Because I'm somebody who does the 9 to 5, and you're in the White House, right? So that kind of puts us in a different position, right? But at the same time, it's like, well, you know, I understand that, you know, we don't have a lot of good leaders. We don't have a lot of strong people. We don't have a lot of moral people, okay? Anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere, okay? It's very difficult to do. And so my projects are important to me mainly because, you know, I could sit here and tell people and warn people and try to, you know, I feel as though my calling in life is to make an attempt. And the say I make an attempt is I could try to promote peace and let people understand, you know, things about human behavior, and also explain these certain guidelines on behavior and the consequences of people's behavior, okay? But whether people are going to change or not, that is up to them, okay? But I personally think that if society is run with strict laws, okay, and I'm talking about laws that actually are enforced, okay? We have all kinds of laws that I think are great. I really do. The thing is that justice is not served swift enough, and the people who may be casting judgment may not really be qualified to do so. I believe that there's innocent people in prison? Absolutely, mainly because some people might have certain political agendas. I will say, as a victim of being a human trafficking, certain people want to deliberately put people there. Now, and I'm not going to sit here and, like, you know, say that like there's, I think, a crap load of innocent people, or that people just get detained in certain places. But when you're often, but I'm just saying as a tactic of human trafficking, one of the things that they are obsessed about when you are a targeted individual is they desperately want to find something on you. Okay, now, and really, it's really not that big of an issue. Like, it's like it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Anytime a person goes to a job, some people like will get like a background check. They check their credit, they check their criminal stuff or whatever, okay? And that should be enough, okay? But there are some people they want to follow, and I understand the whole thing about the apparition thing, okay? I get it. I get it. I get it, Donald. I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. Sorry. Please forgive me, Mr. Trump. Sorry, I was just getting like overly friendly. We're like, Trump, like you're hanging out in my house. No, okay, sorry, please forgive me. But I meant that to be respectful, like, it's warm and like, if we were hanging out and talking, I would like hand you a plate of donuts and we'd have a little conversation or something. But anyway, my point is that there is a lot of people who are very corrupt. Okay, they're very corrupt and they are very immoral, and they want to inspire or get their point across. So they will try to use, you know, their people in your positions, right, to to get their way. And you know what I mean. And I do suspect that this person who is my boss, I do believe that he had connections and ties to you. But anyway, that's all I want to say. Hello, Donald Trump. Anyway, so the next thing I want to say is that, yeah, I did also get an intuitive message that about, I know the clothes thing is becoming, big. And clothes have always been in fashion. I get it. But I do understand that since all of this has happened, there's been a whole lot. People are talking about what they wear to work, okay? And I know that for a while, people were like wearing uniforms. And do I believe that this was something to do with, um, something to do with the guy, my boss or whatever? Yeah, I kind of do. Okay, and I'm talking about people's work life, people's. I'm somebody who's really into trying to improve work life. Okay, because I do believe work life plays a huge role in our overall lives. I mean, when you think about it, if you have a full-time job, that's 8 hours a day. If you work overtime, okay, that's even longer than that. We spend more time at work than people do with their own families, okay? And in an environment that I don't believe is natural. Don't get me wrong, I like working, okay? I enjoy the little tasks that I do. I enjoy getting ready for work. I enjoy, I really do find it a challenging thing, okay? But I want you to ask yourself, is it natural to be around a bunch of different people every day in the same office in an enclosed space all the time? Now, I don't really have that issue right now, but I'm just saying is it normal, and is it good for a person overall, their psychological health, to continually modify their habits over and over and over and over again, and plus be distanced from the things that they are, that they really care about, like for example their families, okay? Sometimes it feels like it's not worth it. You know what I mean? And sometimes it makes it feel like that. So I've been able to use like the things that I'm bringing up and incorporating it into my life. This is one of the reasons why I like desk ornaments, okay? Because it makes it feel more homey, okay? And then it literally helps me block out the BS. Like, this is my little space. It's my little world, okay? You guys can do what you want to do in your little office politics or whatever. It helps keep me focused, okay? I have literally developed ways of coping with unnatural environments. And do I believe the workplace is unnatural? Absolutely. I really do believe it is unnatural. And when it comes to issues like sexual harassment, okay, here's the thing. With sexual harassment, you have to learn how to be civilized when it comes to things like sexual harassment, okay? Because I'm talking about an unnatural work environment. Okay, now we can like charge or have lawsuits about like sexual harassment or people who make, sexually illicit comments or whatever, okay? Um, my point is that it is absolutely normal for people to be attracted to each other in the workplace. Now, I'm going to make this very clear. No, I am not attracted to my boss. Have never been attracted to my boss. Will never be attracted to my boss. Okay? But what I'm saying is what makes it unnatural is that people are expected to go into a work environment and see people that they are attracted to, okay? And if they step out of line in that work environment, they're going to get penalized, right? In some way, okay? Because we all know that sexual harassment is a big one. Because if somebody feels pressured to be in a relationship with their boss or whatever. That was a lot. I mean, it's like putting a gun to their head. It's like, okay, you either, comply with what I'm doing, or I can make your job very difficult for you. I can make you homeless, this kind of stuff. These people want to play manipulative games. And believe it or not, for a lot of people who have been used to, not having manners, not knowing anything about ethics and understanding psychology, this is common behavior for them. This is all they know how to do. So, like, I'm basically, the office is a jungle. Okay, it is a jungle. It's like, you're trying to figure out how to manage, how to deal with all these different personality types. You're also having to modify your behavior. Okay, now, because really, okay, in a work setting, right, if people are attracted to another, like, let's just say, for example, I was a dude and there was this girl who gets hired, right? He's attracted to her. She just so happens to be everything he ever wanted in a person, at least for the moment, right? At least for the moment, okay? And then they start talking, and then he starts to be getting interested in her, right? And let's just say, for example, he has a management position, right? He has a management position, and then something goes wrong, or whatever, something goes wrong in their relationship, and now all of a sudden she can turn on him if she really wants to. And don't get me wrong, people are hungry for money. People are so money hungry, and some people can, like, deliberately get into these little situations so where they could try to, like, threaten their manager and sue them. There's all kinds of, like, what do you call it, gold diggers out there. You got to protect yourself, okay? Or putting, law of suing the company or whatever, and it could create all kinds of problems. All because this person didn't understand self-control. All because they didn't know boundaries. They didn't understand the boundaries. They didn't understand the guidelines. They didn't understand the rules. Yes, there are rules to this. You know what I mean? And a lot of these rules are completely unnatural. I fully understand that. It is completely unnatural. The workplace is unnatural. But regardless whether it's unnatural or not, people need to have self-control, period. This is one of the reasons why, it's like when people come up and touch other people. Now, I want to talk about touching in the workplace, right? There are times where you're connecting to a person. Like, there was this time where I was at the store, right? And this is before all the ostracizing bullshit was going on. I was talking to this lady, and we actually said the same thing at the same time. Okay, so what happens when that happened? When that happened is, like, we immediately touched each other. We didn't even know each other. We don't even know each other's names. It's just that this is like a common thing, and it was like, oh, we said the same thing, and we just felt like, oh, this is so cool, and then we kind of like grabbed each other's arm. Touching is a normal part of human behavior, especially if it's a form of warmth. It's a form of yeah, like connection. It's normal to want to touch somebody. So, oftentimes, you might have a coworker, and and you say, hey, good job, or something. If a person says, I don't want to be touched, respect it. It has to be respected, okay? Because if it happens again, you know what I mean, then you may have to take a step forward. I'm not somebody who's, like, so picky that we're like, somebody touches me one time and I'm going to sit here and report it to, HR. It depends. It depends on it, okay? On the context of it. Yeah, it depends on the context of it. You know what I mean? But if it's unwanted, and if it's repeated and it's unwanted, okay, it is something that you have to be aware of, and it should be reported if you are uncomfortable. If you're not comfortable, you have every right to verbalize, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a woman against a woman. And, women touch each other a lot. You know what I mean? I remember when I worked in other places, if you did a good job or whatever, somebody might tap you on the shoulder, that kind of thing. But if somebody said, because we don't really know what goes on in the lives of people. Some people have been traumatized. Some people have been abused. And being touched by anybody could set them off. It could be a trigger for them. You know what I mean? So I'm just basically saying, I'm somebody who believes in keeping the space and being mindful of other people's space. Even, like, somebody who's standing to you, close to you in the workplace. Like, if I always mention it, like when I'm standing over somebody, like in my past jobs, if I was standing over somebody, I say, am I too close to you? Or, and I also bring up the fact that we are standing very close to each other so that they feel like you want me to back up a little bit, because I don't ever want to make somebody feel like they're going to get nervous. They don't feel like, it can, you could be evading somebody's comfort zone. Do you see what I'm saying? Anyway, I did want to bring up something when it comes to this clothes thing, okay? Because, I see a lot of people, and see, they always want to bring it up in some sort of competition. I am not a competition. I don't dress for competition. I dress mainly for focus, okay? Inspiration, okay? I can be inspired by a song, like maybe a song that I heard a long time ago, and then you'll notice that my outfit looks kind of 80s, okay? I don't really say that I have a lot of retro clothes anymore, mainly because I got rid of a bunch of stuff, okay? So most of my pieces are classic pieces. They might have a little bit of a funky print, but I do that. But I would say that my clothes inspire me. They give me energy. They're like my magical tools in some way. But I do understand there's all kinds of different styles out there, and I like a lot of the retro styles. I like a lot of 70s, like big collar type stuff. I like a lot of the big, I like flared jeans. I love that kind of stuff. But what I was thinking was, I don't watch TV. I really don't. I don't watch TV or a lot of entertainment. And the reason why is because, nothing really interests me. But it would be kind of cool it would be really cool, because I've often thought this, okay, if they did have a TV show where they had like, here, I make this up. Who wears this best, okay? Because I have often compared the clothes of Europe to here in the United States. Even though there's people here in the United States with all kinds of backgrounds of Europe, okay? And then I'm looking at what goes on over there and their fashion, and I hate to say it, okay, like when it versus like America versus Europe, as much as I love America, I love America. I love America. I gotta say, Europe does it better, okay? But it would be kind of cool if they did have like, a TV show where they had like who wears it best. And, each, like for example, you could take someplace in France, right? And they compare it to New York, a person who's, the style thingy. I thought that would be kind of cool. And then also, I do know that a lot of people are taking on hobbies that are very old-fashioned. I know that I've been sewing for years. I am not what you call like an expert sewer. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's certain materials that I've never worked with, okay, and I won't work with. Like things like crinoline, I don't like working with. I don't like working with lace, okay. I just like, basic things. I do a repair work, that kind of stuff, or I modify stuff, but it's, there's people who have far better skills in sewing. I'm talking about people who can design their own patterns, okay? And I have been able to devise some patterns, okay? But like I said, I'm not like, proficient at sewing. But I love sewing, and I do like it as a hobby, and I do think I do encourage it. And I was thinking it would be kind of cool to have a TV show like that as well, like where you have these designers, okay? And it's always Europe versus America. It's always going to be that, right? But I don't know. I just think, a lot of the European decent people here in this country, I don't really see them wearing, a lot of that, which I think is really cool. You know what I mean? Like the plaids and stuff. I did see them wearing it, but it would be kind of cool to see it more. It would be kind of cool. This is one of the reasons why I do like, I like fashion. I like fashion. So it would be kind of cool to do that. Let me see. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? I think that's it. Oh, okay. One more. And I want to back up a little bit about how when you're a targeted individual, they want to find something bad on you. I got a message in my mind that my boss wanted to find something bad on me. That's one of the reasons why he was using these excuses to keep me from having introduction and fully assimilating into the celebrities. Is he wanted to say that I was I was a fallen person, I was bad. He didn't like the fact that I wore makeup. He didn't like the fact that I wore clothes. He didn't like the fact that I had a lunchbox. Just stupid stuff that was meant to tear me down. I do not feel comfortable with this person. I do believe that he is very jealous of me. And going back to the issue of targeted individuals, do I believe there's a lot of targeted individuals or people who are in jail just because somebody has a grudge against them? Do I believe that there's certain people who have suffered consequences because of something that went wrong and then they end up getting framed? Do I believe that happens? Yes, I do. Okay. But when I talk about the justice system working more efficiently, it's because I will be, that's something I'm going to be talking about in my new project. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling. It's just I'm kind of excited about me discovering the whole thing about the counterculture period, because that's just another part of me that is just, it is. But I just want people to know that the counterculture, the idea of being like a bohemian type lifestyle is not in any way a form of rebellion. It's not a slap in the government. It really isn't. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for the laws that are written here as well as the Constitution. It has nothing to do with that. I think a lot of people tried to demonize it mainly because there was a lot of drug use, and we talk about people like Timothy Leary and stuff like that. But Timothy Leary was experimenting. He was somebody who was associated with university studies when he was doing his research on mind-altering substances. Okay, anyway, but yeah, the thing is that when it comes to people who my boss, Rex Laverne, is not my business manager. He is not my husband. When it comes to what do you call it, going out and trying to either finding a job or being successful or whatever, your personal projects, whatever you want to call that, okay, none of that, those reasons are valid. Okay, none of those reasons are valid. Yes, I could be a woman. Yes, I can be black. Yes, I can have my own things. It does not matter if the fact that I'm a clone. Okay, I think that was also one of the issues. The very fact that I was actually cloned in Europe or England, and then somebody who came here in the United States. This was a government program. They knew what they were doing. Okay, but see, you'll find people who, and he's not the only idiot who does this kind of stuff, okay? I'm talking about the kids that I went to school with and people in general who try to put up blocks and barriers for people to be successful. And so, no, I mean, I have every right to do those things. There is no reason why I cannot be successful, other than the smear campaigns and whatnot, which I really highly resent. And it's important, like I said, to get your word out. And I know that I've been shadow banned, and I know that he has managed the shadow channel. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Okay, I do believe that that was a bad thing to do, very bad thing to do, and I'm not comfortable with it. And this is the main reason why I've chosen to keep my distance, and I'm rightful to do so. Anyway, I hope you understood this video. I just recently woke up, and I'm sorry. Well, I woke up about an hour and a half ago, but still, it's like I'm overly excited right now because of the whole CB Briganza thing. And then also, I'm also somebody who knows that I have a lot of work to do. I need to get digging into my project. I am still like looking at these curriculums, right? And I started with kindergarten all the way up to like I'm at 6th grade. I'm picking all these like curriculums out in my project, and then I'm also going to be moving into choosing certain professions, like how could you simplify, reduce the 4-year programs for like higher level professions, okay? And like I mentioned before, like the kind of work that I'm doing right now, general office work, and that's what I've always pretty much considered it to be. It's all encompassed by the same type, whether you're doing accounting or a general office, you're a secretary, whatever you're encompassing the same thing. Those jobs in my mind, like it just blows me away how extra things have become. Like it's so extra. Like, how could you condense better career paths, without a 4-year degree? And so I'm choosing certain professions, like, for example, if you wanted to be a dentist, right? And I'm getting to that point. I haven't gotten to the college level yet, because right now I'm condensing, looking at the lower grades, right? And then how could these transition into something different is what I'm working on. And this is not something that I'm telling school districts to do. I'm basically offering it as a suggestion, okay? As somebody who was able to be, well, I went through the system, the regular school system, but somebody who is primarily an autodidact. And I'm hoping that this project will be taken seriously. And I probably will be sending it to you as well, Donald Trump, only because, I feel as though I'd like to have your review on it. Anyway, I'm going to be wrapping this up, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.